Good afternoon, and welcome to the July 25th, 2017 meeting of the Architectural Review Board. The Architectural Review Board is a 9-member board appointed by the City Council and serve on a voluntary basis without compensation. Our procedure for conducting business is the petitioner for each item will be asked to come forward, state your name for the record, and present his or her request. The board will ask any questions they may have. Then anyone wishing to speak to the proposal will be asked to come forward and voice their opinions. Each side will have 10 minutes to speak. Once your request is heard and the board's decision is rendered, you may leave the meeting. However, if you have questions for staff, please wait until after the meeting is over to ask them, or you may contact staff at the office the following day. Once public testimony and discussion for a particular item has concluded, the members of the board will deliberate and will render its decision. Members with a personal or financial interest in any request are required to recuse themselves from voting. All decisions by the Architectural Review Board are final. Any aggrieved parties may appeal a decision of the board to the City Council within 15 days. Petitioners may also appeal the board's decision to the Circuit Court within 30 days of the meeting. We have seven. We have 7 members present. It takes 5 to pass a motion because of the number of board members present. If you would like to delay your request, please let us know at the time your request is announced. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce the members of the Architectural Review Board. Mr. Cedric Campbell, Ms. Elizabeth Brown, Mr. Reverend Willie Welch, Mr. John Hayden, Mr. John Foshee, and Mrs. Katie Williams, and yours truly, Walter Bush, Jr. Our planning control staff, Christy Anderson, Paula Richardson, Russell Stringer, and Robert Smith. At this time, we do have a quorum. Wanted to, I guess, put out first, have the members, have you had a chance to read the minutes of the last meeting? If there's no comments, questions about it, the minutes will stand approved. Before we get started, we will turn it over to Ms. Christy Anderson to make an announcement.
One of the things that the Historic Preservation Commission is supposed to do is provide education and information, which usually means I get to provide education and information, but we've been doing a series of presentations at the HPC meeting. The reason y'all didn't see me in May was I was at the Poplar Forest Architectural Restoration Field School. So for our August 8th meeting, I'll be doing a presentation on Poplar Forest, the Restoration Field School, and then ideas that we can steal from what they do up there. So we're on YouTube. You can watch it on TV. You don't have to come, but we're going to be doing presentations in the future on architectural styles, house parts, how to talk about your house. So I'll try to let you all know what the topic's going to be prior to the meeting in case you're interested. Or if you've got an idea and want to do a presentation, let me know. I would be more than happy to not do a PowerPoint presentation every month. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have a little bit of old business. Ruth Gibbons, request for approval of 2 after-the-fact tree removals and 4 tree removals and replacement for the property located at 44 South Capitol Parkway, Capitol Heights. This is in partial violation. You may present.
Okay, I'm Ruth Gibbons. This is my husband, David Gibbons. I'm going to let him take over again.
All right, so I did, after our meeting last time, I went in, met with Russell Stringer, and we kind of talked about plans and everything, and as you can see, I've put together some of the photos that you guys asked for, as well as plans for what we're proposing here. So he did tell me just to the two things on the two trees that were removed without permission. The one that we had seen in the previous meeting, the photograph that was growing into the tree, or the tree was growing into the fence. And then also he said to mention that one was a Chinese tallow, which was an invasive species, and just also that it was touching the roof line of the house.
Is that a popcorn tree? Ah, kill it.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, I didn't know that was the name of it officially, but there you go. Now, regarding the replacement trees, I've given you kind of some pictures of what it looks like outside the house, as well as to kind of show you what trees are still around, as well as kind of where the house is situated in relation to our neighbors. I don't know if that's up there, if you guys have them in your packet. Okay, all right, so figure 1 is just, that's a shared driveway, but we do have some space on the edge there that I'll talk about in a second. Figures 2 and 3 are the backyard looking out. And then figure 4 is from looking toward the front of the house on the other side with the fence, the house, and then the neighbor's house there, just so you can kind of see the area there, and that's the new fence that they just put in. Figure 5, just quickly, is the satellite imagery. The white lines, just for reference there, it's the fence, the existing fence. And then you can see the proposed trees that I've put down there. Figure 6, and both 5 and 6 are enlarged on the last page, if that helps. I figured out how to turn it sideways. But if you look there, you can see in figure 6 the current trees and then the proposed trees and their placement. Again, those trees and their placement were discussed with Mr. Stringer a few weeks ago in his office. We talked about particular trees. If you'll notice, for instance, in figure 5, you'll see in figure 6, I've changed oak or sycamore to shumard or nuttall oak, both at his suggestion because of some, I think, trouble that he's been having with sycamore trees and a particular blight. Also, the tulip poplars were chosen for beside the parking pad there in the back because they are straight-growing, fast-growing trees that would be better suited to being beside a parking pad like that to avoid any further future damage. And then the same thing with the nuttall or the shumard oak in the back. He suggested those as being a much more friendly, neighborhood-friendly tree than the pecan tree that was there, and also being one that would grow quickly and straight. Then you'll also notice I chose a couple of under canopy trees to go in those smaller areas of the yard. The one there beside this shared driveway in the back. There's a good spot there where I would be able to put that in the front yard. Right there well, I guess you can't really see because of the shadow and the satellite imagery, but the front drive or the front yard is split by a walkway, so that would be as you walk out of the house on the left in a small patch there in the front yard. It's a pretty small front yard, but that'd be a good place for something like that. So I believe that's all. I guess I have, and it would. I guess again those red buds I'd be able to plant those without endangering the house. I think so. Any questions or?
Well, first of all, you have any questions? Kim, Russell, I want to turn it over to you.
So far as a tree plan goes, this is a pretty good one.
Okay. Further questions from the board? Any questions from the floor? Anybody from the floor?
My name is Sarah Churchman. I'm president of Montgomery Trees, the urban forestry group for the city. And while we are we are happy with whatever decision that y'all make, we would just like to say that we are afraid that this starts the beginning of a slippery slope with people coming and asking for forgiveness rather than permission when cutting down trees. This is the second time an issue like this has come before the board since December, and the petitions have been accepted and or have passed, and they have not gone on to the municipal court, which we are afraid that this will become just the modus operandi, and people will be like, oh, we cut down our trees, sorry, we'll replace them, instead of coming here and asking like another agenda item where I would like to cut down these trees, is that okay? I know it's easier to beg forgiveness than ask permission, but I just want everyone to be aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments from the floor? Chair, entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, but I do want the record to be clear. 4 of these trees were cut without permission of the board. I think the Gavans went to city council and they were given permission by someone else. Our job today concerns the 2 trees, which I understand both were encroaching on fences, causing, if they weren't causing damage, I could tell from where the stumps lie, they were going to starve.
They were.
Right. Based on those 2 trees, and we hate to cut trees as much as anyone, but when they start to threaten property, and especially fences and homes, something does have to give. And so with that said, I move that we approve the plan as submitted.
Okay. I'll second the motion. Could you turn the mics up a little? The old folks on the panel having trouble hearing. Thank you. Namely, Reverend Wells.
Mr. Chair, I have a question. Are we just only making a recommendation on 2 trees and not the 6 total? Is that?
It's the 2 trees that were cut prior to Christie issuing a stop order. So we're voting on whether or not we would have permitted or given permission to cut those 2 trees, and would we approve the replacement trees that Russell, I believe, has worked with the Gavans to come up with. So,
Right.
again, based on the fact that I think the 2 trees that had been cut were either causing damage or potentially damaging the property, I would move that we, and the fact that the Gavans have worked with Russell and I think come up with a good plan of replacement for all the trees that have been removed. I move that we accept the plan as submitted.
And I second, because they came last meeting and they did what we asked them to do, so.
We
I
already
second
have
that motion.
yeah, we already have a motion and a second. So
I did it, he made it again.
yeah,
So,
no problem.
be
No problem. We're
clear.
gonna go with the first one. Okay, is there any unread? So you heard the motion that was moved and properly second. Is there any unreadness on this? Any unreadness? All in favor of the motion? All opposed?
Not voting.
Okay, abstain. We have 1 abstention. Okay, the project has been.
Thank you.
Item number 3.
Number 2 has been removed from the docket. Number 3, Les Miller, request for approval of a chimney removal for the property located at 2228 St. Charles Avenue, St. Charles, Capitol Heights. May present your project.
My name is Les Miller, and I would like your blessing to remove 2 chimneys. I'm currently have some hail damage on my roof, and my insurance company has approved payment for a new roof. The problem I'm running into is due to the age of the chimneys and the deteriorating mortar joints. I can't find a roofing company that's willing to flash it. And rather than trying to paint it and put a Band-Aid on it and risk having this problem in the future, the 2 chimneys are not on an exterior wall, so therefore it's not a characteristic really of the house. But I would just like to take them down below the deck level, deck over them, shingle over them, so that way we avoid any problems in the future.
I'm going to ask something different. Is the new roof been approved? Is it the same type roof? when you
Yes,
put it
ma'am,
in?
it's the same type roof.
Okay.
I'm virtually going to go back basically with the exact same thing that I have.
Questions from the floor?
Any further comments or questions from the board? Any comments from the floor? Any comments from the floor? Chair, entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the petitioner's request as submitted.
Second.
The motion has been moved and properly second. Is there any unreadness? Any unreadness? Any unreadness? All in favor of the motion? All opposed? Okay.
Ms. Brown, how did you
Another
vote?
extension?
I didn't vote again.
Another extension?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you voted against, Cedric?
Why'd you do
So we had,
He needs to fix his chimney.
we had 5, 1, and 1.
Say again?
At 5, 1, and 1.
So that takes 5 to pass.
Yes, it takes.
It's approved.
And
So it's
extension.
approved?
Yes, it's approved.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Next presenter, Lauren Layfield for David Loglin. Request for approval of outbuilding demolition without replacement for the property located at 3049 LeBron Road, Cloverdale, Iowa. You may present your project.
Yes, I'm Lauren Layfield with Sandra Nickelhat team here for David Laughlin. I have the property listed for sale, and an inspector and someone from the city has deemed it a hazard. It has previous fire damage and mold and all that kind of stuff, and it is becoming a hindrance for selling the property. And they're recommending, wanting to see if it can be removed.
It looks like it's been run into by the car a couple of times.
Yes. It might come down on its own, but.
I looked at it this afternoon while I was over there. I live in the neighborhood, and yeah, I'm surprised it's kind of still standing, so.
If it is taken down, should it be documented for the subsequent owner? I mean, just the location and the size
I don't,
for future use or anything?
I mean, it looks like it's an L addition to the house, it looks like.
It's detached.
Yeah.
And we had gotten permission to, there was 2 additions, one on the left side and one on the back, that we had already gotten permission to take down. But the sellers just want to go ahead and get permission.
And I would just clarify for the record that they could take those portions down because a city code official said that they were unsafe, that he couldn't declare the entire structure unsafe, but the additions were just hanging on, and he felt he could at least permit a partial demolition.
Katie, I would normally say, yes, you need to document something, but this is such a minor structure.
Okay.
It doesn't seem worth it to me.
All right, that's fine.
She already has taken photographs.
Okay.
Okay. Any further comment from the board?
Mr. Chair, if we approve this demolition, will the homeowners be required to come before ARB for a replacement structure if they want to do so in the future?
Will?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I guess in your motion, somebody has to make that motion. Okay. Any comment from the floor?
Charlie Colvin with the Cloverdale Idlewild Association, and while this structure does provide some unique character to the neighborhood, we do not oppose the demolition. And matter of fact, it's probably time. Thank you.
Okay. Any further comment from the floor? Chair, entertain a motion.
Move to approve as submitted.
Second.
Motion has been moved, properly second. There any unreadness on this? Any unreadness? Any unreadness? All in favor? All opposed? Project's been passed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Scott Steen, request for approval of an alternate window for the previous approved new house plan for the property located at 622 Felder Avenue, Old Cloverdale. You may present your project.
Hi, the project was previously approved by this board before. The owner just sort of had a change of heart as to what she would like the windows to look like. So instead of doing the previously presented 4 lights over 1 scheme, she just wanted to go to the vertical bars where it's 3 lights over 1 instead. So that's really all we're talking about today is the way the window looks.
It looks like to me when we do this, that then we end up with a lot of little square windows with no buttons at all.
That's true. There are some up top because I looked at it both ways with the ones that you're seeing is plain now with the vertical bars. And in my opinion, it didn't look good.
No,
it was,
probably not.
It was too much verticality for it.
Any further comment from the board? Any comment from the floor?
I'm Brian Mann, Vice Mayor of the Old Cloverdale Association. We have no objection to this request.
Any further comment from the floor? Chair, entertain a motion.
Move for approval as submitted, Mr. Chair.
Second.
We have a motion that's been moved and properly second. There any unreadness? Any unreadness? Any unreadness? All in favor of the motion? All opposed? Motion has been moved and passed.
All right, thank you.
Hey, Scott, just for the record, I like the old style better.
Well, I wouldn't have drawn it if I hadn't either, but it's her house, so thanks.
Our next presenter, Pam Bransport. Request for approval of siding replacement, style change, and awning for the property located at 1918 Graham Street, Old Cloverdale. You may present your project.
My name's Pam Bransport, and this is work in the back of my house, preparing to paint my house with the same colors. There was a...
Excuse me. Can you move the microphone a little bit closer to you?
Okay. Oh, gosh. Okay. Preparing to paint my house with the same colors, and there was a little kitchen extension done in the 1970s, and they used vertical particle boards. So I want to remove those and replace them with siding. And the particle boards are all rotten along the bottom and around the back door. And my contractor has proposed a small awning over the back door to help with the water that just pours off the flat roof. So.
Any comment from the board?
A good idea, all of this.
I agree.
Okay.
Any further comments? Any comment from the floor?
Once again, the Old Cloverdale Association has, Brian Mann with the Old Cloverdale Association has no objection to this request.
Any further comment from the floor? Chair, entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve as submitted.
Second.
The motion has been moved and properly seconded. Any unreadness? Any unreadness? Any unreadness? All in favor of the motion? All opposed? Okay, project's been passed. Thank you. Next on the agenda, which you don't see, we have an advisory review, and Chris is going to come to us with that. 10 minutes.
Yeah, it is. I'm sorry.
Hello, everybody.
Sorry.
Hello. My name is Billy Guyette. My family and I have a roofing and construction business in Capitol Heights. And about a year ago, I purchased a home next to my mom and dad's house. The home had burned, and there was actually another investor that purchased the house, and he was overwhelmed, and it was just too much work for him. So anyway, the house ended up sitting on the market for a while, and because the house was right next to my mom and dad's house, I purchased it. I didn't want a slumlord to get it, and I'm currently renovating the house, and I'm going to be completely honest. I made a mistake. The old windows were completely ruined. There was really no way to replace them, and my current residence is in Cottage Hill, and about 5 years ago, I bought that house and renovated it, and I got approved from you guys for a window that was 4/4, and I just got real busy. The house got broken into a few times, and I purchased some very nice windows, but they were also 4/4. And I realized that those windows are not period correct. Miss Anderson brought that to my attention. After I already purchased the windows from Southern Sash, they were $10,000, and I'm just very paranoid right now that somebody is vandalizing my house as we speak, and I desperately need to get the house closed up and rented out. I recognize that I made a mistake, and we own a lot of rental properties in the Capitol Heights area because we enjoy the historic properties. We believe in downtown. I'm not sure, but I'm probably the only person in here that walked from their house to this meeting. I may be wrong, I don't know. But I believe in the safety of downtown. I believe in the people of downtown, and I believe in the buildings of downtown. And I do apologize for purchasing 4/4 windows. And to atone for my sins, I will volunteer as tribute to sit on the panel.
No.
I noticed that there's not a lot of millennials on the panel. And I know that Mayor Strange wants millennials downtown, and it could be a good thing maybe. And in fact, a lot of my
Who are you calling old?
I thought I had 10 minutes.
I'm just going to say, I'm looking at my clock right here.
No.
You said I'm not the only millennial on this board.
I definitely appreciate y'all's wisdom.
It is advisory.
No, definitely. And I'm going to be the first to admit that I did make a mistake.
Shame.
And I do feel that because we do care about the historical integrity of downtown. And I'm here to apologize. I know we've already brought up some, it's easier to ask for forgiveness instead of permission. So I realize the precedent that's been set and the slippery slope argument. And I do apologize, but we do own a lot of other properties where we save the windows. In fact, we purchased the duplex right next door to this house, and we will make sure that this is done right, period correct. So just, I'm sorry.
You laying it on, aren't you?
Yeah. Willie would do better.
Mr. Guyette, explain how you end up purchasing the 4/4 instead of the 6/6.
It's nobody's fault but myself, but I did consult with the people at Southern Sash. I hate to put them on blast like that, and I assumed, and I know it's wrong to assume, but I installed the same windows on my house in Cottage Hill.
The 404s?
404. And in fact, just some trivia, the house that I live in, Cottage Hill, is the oldest residential building in all of Montgomery. It was built in 1835. The oldest that's still inhabited, the shotgun part of my kitchen. I just want you guys to know that I really do care about the historical integrity of downtown, and my family does as well. And we care about Capitol Heights and all the downtown neighborhoods. And we appreciate all you guys coming out. And I would love to sit in one of these seats if you guys would let me.
So I've got a question. I want to make sure I understand. The front of the house, the picture we're showing is a 6x6.
Yeah.
Those have yet to be replaced?
Those have not been replaced yet.
Okay, and the ones on the side are the new windows that have been replaced. They
Yes,
were
sir.
6x6, and now you've replaced them with 4x4s.
Yes, sir.
But you have the 4x4 windows for the front. You just have not yet.
Yeah,
I
Miss.
went around and asked them to stop.
Okay, great.
But when we were working, Miss Anderson noticed she lives adjacent to the property, and we purchased all those windows, and so it's.
And he knows I live there, so I'm telling you, as far as thinking he was trying to pull something, he knows I live there.
I was not trying to sidestep you guys. I promise. I'm on the same page. We invest in downtown because you guys exist. So.
Can I ask a question? Are the windows an approved window regardless of the Mutton configuration?
They are a window that this board has approved, the EnviroGuard solid PVC window. Everybody except for
So it's
Elizabeth.
really just the Mutton pattern?
It's the style change, yes, is really what's in question.
Those
Whether-
are just applied Muttons, correct?
They are. But they may, I don't know if they're permanently affixed. They probably, I don't know how integral they are to the window. The Muttons.
Are they permanent?
Can you change out the Mutton pattern on those windows? Is the question.
I'd have to talk with the people at Southern Sash. I'm not sure how labor intensive that would be. I can check into it, but to be honest, I'm not sure.
My guess is that you can.
Okay.
My guess.
You say that you can or can't?
It just depends on the window.
So, if he can, then you want him to. If he can't, then we gonna let him keep the windows, right?
Hadn't agreed to that. Let him keep part yet.
Then if we don't, you all would want him to take the windows out and put in 6x6s?
I think that'd be part of the discussion. Yes, sir.
Or either we can just let him put them on the 6x6s on the front. That's $10,000. I mean,
That's not supposed to be our consideration.
it's not my consideration.
Yeah.
That's the deacon's consideration. But I mean, the house looks really nice. And then he's still nice. You can't hardly, Christy, you can't see it too much from the street on the side, can you?
Not really, because there's a privacy fence as you're coming up the hill on the west side of the house, and the other side is near a fence line that has a heavily vegetative rear yard, so no, you really can't see it.
Right. So my suggestion would be that he would put the correct windows on the front, and we let him keep the windows on the side. That's only my opinion, a man of
From the inside, it might look a
gospel.
little funny, though.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't have a consistent, a uniform appearance.
Also, the siding on the house is definitely not original to the house. It's some type of asbestos shake.
And it didn't burn when the house did. It held the fire in, but it didn't burn.
Asbestos didn't burn, imagine that. I know,
So,
we got some of that around our neighborhood too.
A question then comes if this project was, if the house was in danger of being, say, razed to the ground and they've brought it back, does the historical quality of the house really matter quite so much?
That is y'all's call. You know, part of what the deliberation is whether or not the proposed alteration materially impairs the building or the district. And if you don't feel that this alteration does, given the circumstances of this particular property, because you evaluate on a case-by-case basis, then that can be part of your deliberation of the investment in this property, and getting it habitable is more important than whether or not he kept a 6/6 window.
Because if you look at the porch and other items, they're not really in keeping with the age of the house either.
What's the age of the house?
Well, there's no.
I think it was 1927 it was built. All of the exterior and interior trim, I'm keeping the same. It's costing me a lot, but all of the hardwood floors, I'm reconditioning. I could have put just carpet in it and found a tenant $400 a month and just threw them in there. Because my mom and dad live next door, because we own the duplex next door, and because we believe in Capitol Heights, I'm not doing that. I did make a mistake, and I do apologize, but the windows are paid for, and you know, we're in Capitol Heights to stay for a long time. So I'm just paranoid right now. I've had several break-ins, and I'm not trying to give you guys a pity party. I know you guys have to deliberate independently of all this, but I just want you guys to know the whole story. I'm not just some investor from out of town that's just pumping money in real quick. I tried to do the right thing.
But right now, we're not going to deliberate. It's just on advisement. So we just
Okay. Yes, sir.
Every time someone was over there looking at that property, I'd pop my head up over the back fence and say, "Hey, what you doing?" And I talked to the previous owner who thought he was going to take it. I think the previous owner thought he was going to slap some paint on it and have a quick and easy investment, because I saw it on fire and it blew out all the windows on the back and half the windows on one side. And it was an electrical fire, so he's had to redo all the systems with it.
It'll be
so
a
again,
$90,000 investment.
So it blew out most of the windows except the ones in the front.
Yeah, I'm definitely upside down.
And at least one on the front, the front corner is missing. I don't know if it was rotten or, but there's wood rot on the front windows. There's like in one of the pictures, I don't know if you can see it very well. It's like there's a chunk of the window that's just missing. At the bottom.
Yeah, the far right. I think I can't. Are there any other 4x4s in around the neighborhood facing the street?
There's some 4/1s.
Are the muds
My
on
next
the
door neighbor
inside?
has a 4/1.
Are the inside the glazing?
I'm
on the outside of it.
I'm pretty sure they're on the outside.
Now, some of these do have a spacer bar in them, and I didn't notice if these did or not. You don't think so?
I'm looking at the specifications online. I don't think
They do? So it's just an exterior?
Yeah, it's an option, but I think they're
Okay.
applied mutton bars in both sides.
So you can't take the 4x4s and make them into 6/6.
Yeah, I think you can.
I
think you can.
Would that require him removing all of the 4x4s he's installed? Okay.
No, I think it could be done in place.
Yeah, you can do that in place. Yeah.
Would that be an option, Billy?
So
I can look into it. To be honest, I really can't comment on that. I'm not sure, but I'll talk to the people at Southern Sash and see if we can.
I think the question, the reason we brought this as an advisory is whether or not, I mean, he's got to come back next month.
Right.
Because this hasn't been advertised, so you can't take official action, but he's really looking for some guidance as to whether or not he can finish installing the front 4 windows. And there may have been 2 smaller ones on the side that didn't look like they
I'm actually, the smaller ones on the side I was going to keep. just because they were, for whatever reason, they were kitchen windows and they were saved from the fire. And I wanted some of the original windows to still be there, so just kind of as a selling point.
Mr. Guy, looking at those windows you just mentioned in the kitchen, those are 6/6, so I would really like to see you have a conversation with Southern Sash and see if they can swap them out. It sounded like, you know, they may have been at fault a little bit, so looks like they would maybe work with you, but that would be what I would like to see. I'd like to see you talk to Southern Sash and see if they can swap out those 4/4s for 6/6s, and then it will match all the way around instead of, you know, you having 4/4s and then those two remaining in the kitchen being 6/6. That's just kind of my thoughts.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's great advice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is the house secure now, Billy?
It is not. I'd let a man do yard work a few weeks ago and gave him $40, and then the next day all my tools were gone. And so now I've got a $200 radio that's sitting right in the front door, and I've got a tracker on it. And as soon as it moves, I get a text message on my phone. I'm going to find them. So,
But
it's not secure right now. The house is not secure.
But there are no open windows. I mean, we're not.
No.
Okay.
Yes, sir. It's all closed up. It's just I'm having trouble finding insurance on it until it's occupied.
Sure.
I don't like to put that on blast. I don't know who's
but
in it.
it's common. The house we're working on, we've got it insured, and the only thing it's insured for is fire. And we have had people in the one we're working on too, helping themselves to stuff.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, but it does happen in every neighborhood.
Okay. So, you got some advice?
I gave you my advice. Y'all just like church members. Y'all won't listen.
Well,
so I mean, if he asks the company about swapping out the windows and they say no, then when he comes back, will we then say, okay, we'll work with him at some point?
I think you can also look at, swapping out the muttons on there. I think, I mean, I just had a house done myself, and the muttons you can interchange those, things, and they pop in the glass pops out, you pop it back in.
Okay. So he's gonna check those two things at the glass company, and then we're going to go.
Oh, I got one more thing for you, Reverend Welch.
All right.
I'll keep it quick, but so he's got to come back next month to get windows approved. You want him to talk to Southern Sash to see if the muttons can be changed out to 6/6. But Reverend Welch, I think, raised the point. So what if they say no? What if that's not possible? I know, John, you think they can be.
If he finds out this week, could you just email us and let us know so we can ponder that situation? Because
Yeah.
I hate to say, hey, yeah, you can keep the 4/4, because then why look to see if you can change it,
Right.
I'll definitely check with Southern Sash. In the meantime, I have several credit cards completely maxed out, so I'm just trying to get this thing closed up and insured and rented out or sold if anybody wants to buy it.
But the major thing to me is that the windows have been approved before, so it's not a window issue, it's more of a mutton issue, which is a much smaller, albeit visual.
I was definitely trying to do the right thing. I could have got Window World out there and thrown up some $200 windows, but I just want you guys to know
We'd be
that
having an entirely different conversation if you'd done that.
Yeah.
these are nice windows. So
No, quality's not certainly not.
You poured it on. You poured it on.
all right. I know it's not being correct.
Okay, so talk to Southern Sash and let me know what you find out, and we'll try to get you some feedback to get you moving.
That's it.
I got one more thing. Just quick. Promise. I'll keep it quick.
More paper.
Second hidden agenda.
Same petitioner? Same petitioner?
No, this is just and I handed all my copies out, so I don't have one to refer to. since I was out for the last 2 months, I couldn't bring this up before, but as a topic came across the NAPC listserv talking about storage buildings, because it's something that comes up and prefab doesn't really work. But what I've done I've compiled some of the responses that other municipalities shared, which talks about not reviewing things under a certain square footage because they don't really consider them permanent. Like when people tell me they want to put up playground equipment, I consider that temporary because as soon as the kids grow up, gone. That some have kind of staff review, you know, if there are no structures in the rear yard, so you're not ending up with multiple small storage buildings. The one says represents a general form of a traditional building, and as he described it, rectangles with triangles on top. That, you know, I think Knoxville will allow the T111 siding when they apply battens over those vertical grooves. Just something, you know, there was a guy in Cloverdale who was going to build a new garage. They've since moved, like tree fell on the old garage, and he found some place that would build, and I know John Foshee found some websites that had more traditional looking outbuildings that Home Depot sells, but not here. That it was going to cost them $100 a square foot. I'm like, my house isn't worth $100 a square foot. So take a look at these and see what you think. If you would be open to the idea of, if we have something that has a very small footprint, of having something that people would still need to make application if it met the parameters of smaller than, rectangle with a triangle on top, you know, not visible from the street, those sorts of things, to let some folks get some smaller tool storage that's not going to cost them $5,000 to build a 8x10 closet in their backyard. So if you all can discuss it now if you want, you can think about it and we can talk about it next month, and I can put the HPC on it because it's up to them to draft guidelines for this board. So they would define those parameters, and then you all would have to adopt them. I'm all for not reinventing the wheel, so when other people share their wheels, I like to copy what I can.
Okay. I think they're capable. I think the other board is capable of making that decision. But that's the Historic Preservation Board. That's the Historic Preservation Board you're talking about?
Yes, because one of their duties is to adopt guidelines for y'all to follow.
Okay.
So you're not making your own rules to follow.
Sure.
Yeah, I see no problem with this. I like the certain size. I think the color comes into play a lot, that it matches the house or is in keeping with the house, or however you say that, and we don't have a bunch of purple sheds all over.
Mm-hmm. No,
and that they don't have more than one, because when I bought my house, we had 3.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
So one small temporary structure under a certain square footage.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, if they make it out of pine, it won't be there long anyway. It'll be temporary.
Okay. Right. Any further discussion on this, man?
I think the most important thing is, can it be seen from the public way? Because we've had some outbuildings, I think of one in particular that was on Norman Bridge, the corner of Norman Bridge and something that, you know, everybody coming down Norman Bridge Road, it was more visible than the house, really. Mm-hmm. But most of the ones that we review are hidden in backyards and not seen from a public way. And it, as I said, in this, temporary in nature. So we really shouldn't hold people to the same standard. I mean, we've let people put swing sets and tree houses that were, I find, more objectionable than some of the prefab storage sheds.
And then too, you have a planning ordinance and all that too, so.
Well, I mean, it would have to comply with setbacks and you know, building code and all that. I mean, it could have parameters that if it is, say someone wants to put it at the end of an existing driveway because there's still concrete there, that some sort of screening may be required, you know, to reduce the visibility of it if it's something that's an ugly rectangle with a triangle on top. It's just something to think about, to come up with some more. I know cost is not the factor in your deliberations, but if I'm looking at buying a 4x8 tool shed, doesn't need to have an overhanging eave and be clad in wood siding. I don't know. I just need a place to put my rake.
Okay. Any further comments? Any further comments? Okay. Is there anything else for us?
Now I'm really done.
All right. With that being said, meeting is adjourned.